So I love to talk the location specifically of North Country, and we will get into the other parts of your crazy life, I'm sure, during this interview. But the location of North Country in Slippery Rock is a very unique one. How did you find that location? And if you could even give us the history of that, because on just from a quick Google search, you guys go back to the 1800s, which is pretty cool.
Right.
So, how did that location come up for you, and what's it been like to own that specific spot?
It's been great. I mean, honestly, it was the last building we could entertain in Slippery Rock. Jody and I had 2 dogs, and it was important to us to have a place where we could first put an apartment and live there. And I mean, we found that location. We looked at another building across the street, actually, but it just wasn't big enough for our concept and what we envisioned. Mm-hmm. North Country spot that is right there now that we purchased and renovated. It was built in 1805, and it has a hodgepodge of additions. And through 1924, well, actually, since 2003, whenever we put the brew house addition. So it's just a lot of, there's not one straight angle. It was definitely falling down. And Slippery Rock was dry, when we purchased it. So we believed that it would get wet someday.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it was a great home for us, and we renovated for 3 years before the town did decide to vote wet.
And did you guys have a role in that vote then?
We did a little bit, but the community had decided.
Sure.
I was still traveling for work, so I was only there on weekends to renovate, and then back Monday through Friday, wherever the company had me.
Sure.
Positioned. Yeah.
When you say renovate, that location is certainly interesting. I was eating there 2 weeks ago, just looking around. It was awesome. What were do you know some of the businesses that were there before you?
Yeah,
obviously, I don't know if you know all of them leading back to 1805, but a couple of them.
The building has a crazy history. I mean, in 1805, the 2 dining rooms with the chimneys in the front was the original structure, and the upper bar area was the barn that went with that first structure on Main Street there. And it was a home. In 1835, I have a little record of a public tavern license for that location.
Wow.
And that was 1835. And then, so that's also where some of the salt box addition, some of the early additions were there. So I believe it was like an inn and tavern then. In 1850, it went back to just a cabinet shop. And that's when the storefront that you walk in actually was built in 1850. Mm-hmm. But when we were renovating, it's crazy to see all the layers of different cut nails.
I'm sure.
The upper bar where the booths are in the wall there's actually nibbled little stall windows that now are covered by the woodlap on the other side, and the drywall and tin that we put on the booth side.
Wow.
But inside that, there's just all the stuff we found when we were redoing the footers and the foundations. Just years and years of Slippery Rock, and actually, the horses that pulled the hearse were where the upper bar was, and then they continually put additions on and moved the horses back further to the point where there's a garage where they had an automobile at some point.
Right, really?
right.
That's so cool.
But a lot of creepy stuff, like an early rubber glove, and comes to mind, and like old suturing needles, and found cases of empty embalming fluid bottles, and we didn't even know it was like a funeral home, from 1850 to 1972.
Oh,
it was
my
a funeral
goodness.
home. Yeah, it was a cabinet shop, but they also started making coffins. So I don't know how we were gonna live there, much less open a business someday.
Yeah, right.
Because we got haunted, man, and we didn't put it in the menu or anything, but
Right.
I seriously was wondering, what did I do? One of my friends told me, Bob, I think you're haunted, man.
Right.
It's just like they're around.
Just following you around. I
They seem to
understand.
be, yeah.
That is wild, man. Yeah, what a crazy history. That's got to be cool for you, though, knowing that history, understanding it, and even as you're renovating, seeing that history kind of, be brought into the present, and now
Right.
you're a part of that building's history. That's got to be cool for you.
Right. Hopefully a long history.
Yeah. Well, listen.
That's always been my goal.
Sure. I would imagine it's going to be the way that people appreciate you and your food and your drink and what you guys do. So I'd love to hear, what was the renovation process then for you guys? Obviously, from horses to coffins to whatever else that building held. What did you guys have to do to bring it to where it is today?
Yeah, it was definitely falling down. And initially I was going to put a coffee shop in there while it was a dry town, but soon, I realized that I just wasn't confident that would pay for the loan I needed.
Sure.
And so I continued to work, and then Jody and I put everything into the place as we lived there. But like I dug a footer from where the kitchen is today, the whole way to Main Street. Actually tunneled underneath the floors, and had 5-gallon buckets of dirt. I'd pull up and I'd cut holes in the floor and just pop up like a gopher, and that's where all the drains and HVAC and everything went, because that whole one side didn't have any plumbing or anything.
Wow.
And they had like 7 chimneys we tore down from all the different episodes of Potbellies.
Wow.
And so I, my degree was environmental geoscience, and I did archaeology in the field. And it was to the point where, if the state was going to burn the trees on whatever site I was on, I asked permission and grabbed them in 14-foot sections, hauled them out of the woods, and I'd run them back on the weekends, and got them milled locally at North Liberty at a mill there.
Sure.
And we actually got it all stick dried and everything there, and had all that lumber then to renovate the inside. So
Wow.
I think with one logging truck and all the mill work of milling all of that, and not with all the sandpaper and blood, sweat, and tears, but I think we had $750 in all that lumber that finished off the bar. And yeah. So, a lot of it was a green sense of reuse, but a lot of it was definitely because of our budget.
Sure.
So the renovations actually, we renovated the structure first, and we could afford, like, Tom Fawcett was one of the early people that we afforded to do like anything I couldn't finish on the weekend. He'd come in there and pour the cement. I'd dig the hole, he'd pour the cement, block up the new foundation. And Jody and the dogs stayed in the apartment we made upstairs. So really, I was just paying a mortgage instead of rent somewhere.
Okay.
And, we were really able to pull it off just by nonstop, though. Like 2 a.m. on Monday, I'd run out to wherever the company had me, like Delaware, Gettysburg, wherever it was. And I'd run a crew from Monday through Friday, leave the field, have everything loaded up already and prepared to come back to Pittsburgh, drop the artifacts off, and then come up to Slippery Rock. And I'd renovate Saturday, Sunday. And then it was like,
just nonstop.
Boom. Oh, yeah, 98 till the town voted wet in 2001. That's when I had my last project and quit my previous job. Yeah.
Wow.
And then it was just, I wrote the business plan. We got it approved by the bank.
Mm-hmm.
There was still a lot of interior to do, but, because we had the structure pretty much reframed and set down on a new foundation by that point. But the bank loans wouldn't open because it was tied to the liquor license that we were going after, the Brew Pub license. And they were brand new. And it was just, we had liquor law lawyers, but they never did a Brew Pub license. And so we just had a tough time getting those through. And we had one protest against us in the neighborhood. So that took till 2003. So that was like 2 years that I ended up renovating the interior. But I also started bartending again. So, again, hospitality industry, right? I ended up bartending at Harmony Inn. And I was always a good customer of theirs and loved them. And they had a great craft beer business before craft became craft. They had imports, back in the day. But, bartending at night and then renovating during the day, that was great for us because, again, that's how I got through college. Mm-hmm. Here I am again bartending and had my days free to renovate instead of just running around on weekends. And, we got a lot more done.